Hello, everyone. Why am I hearing myself echo? All right, there we go. Do I sound good, clear to everybody? Sweet. So today's episode, I want to talk about PTSD. Do people in chat understand what PTSD is? Awesome. There are some people that don't understand PTSD. And a lot of people think that PTSD is related to just veterans, which it is true. It is true. A lot of veterans that come home have it because of what they experienced. And I have family members that come home and they experience it. And instead of getting help, they get medicated. And that's tough for me because help is what they need. Help is what we all need. Talking about it, communicating, and getting it off our shoulders is what we need. Now I'm looking for somebody that would like to come up on panel. Anybody interested in coming up on panel? I will drop the link. I'm still getting used to this channel. I'm still getting used to everything. How we doing, Rogue?
Hey, I don't know why my picture has changed to that. Like, that is not the one I had the other day. Oh well, I guess it's fitting. Loved loser. Am I too loud or anything?
I hear you perfectly fine.
Okay. I just want to make sure because my headset's weird.
I keep getting feedback on my end, and it's not you, it's me.
Hmm.
All right, there we go. I keep echoing in my headphones, so I don't know if it's my headphones, my sound system. It's driving me crazy.
Do you have YouTube open?
I'm looking. I'm closing everything right now. I have nothing open but StreamYard. I think that sounds better. I'm not echoing. Okay. Can you still hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, I just had to close out all my windows except StreamYard, and I'm not echoing. This is amazing. So, back to communicating again. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
So, I struggle with PTSD, and I didn't know what that was at all. I didn't know that it was part of flashbacks and reoccurring incidences that happened a long time ago. And I never experienced it until I was sitting, yeah, I was in college. Now, the highest level of education I had was ninth grade. I dropped out my sophomore year. I was a troubled kid.
Oh, I was too.
Um, I didn't, I didn't care about school. I was miserable, and I ended up dropping out. I think it was like 8 years later. I decided to get my GED. I got my GED without studying. I just like, let me take the test. I'll pay for it. So I took it and passed it without flying colors. I was pretty impressed with myself because my worst subject was English. So writing an essay was the weakest part of me, and I aced it. I was impressed. And then 3 years after that, I decided to go to college, and I was a business major. At the same time, I became student president. Well, that didn't last long because after my associate's degree, I was working on the bachelor's degree. And as student president, you want to understand all majors on campus. So when you go to the administration and stick up for certain majors, you understand it and you know about it.
Right.
So I was taking a course called criminology, which I understand a lot about. But during this course, um, a friend of mine did a project on victims of CM. Okay, everybody should know what CM is without me having to say it out loud. And it was a very touchy subject, and that's when Pandora's box was opened. Now you know about Pandora's box. You
Uh,
know
Yeah.
when you take something that's very dark and sinister and you put it in that box and you lock it up and you thought you threw away the key and then it gets busted wide open. That's when I had my mental breakdown. You know, I was a functioning alcoholic, so I didn't know what PTSD was. I didn't know what bipolar was. So when Pandora's box opened up, yeah, I kind of learned about all of it real quick. I ended up in the mental hospital, and that's when I started having flashbacks because I was sober. For the first time in 15 years, like I was stone cold sober. And it was wild. Like, I've never been sober before. I've never felt these things. I've never witnessed these things. It's like everything from my past was smacking me right in the face. And it was tough. It
Yeah.
was probably the worst time of my life. And I still struggle with it today, but I don't let it control me. So, how about yourself, Rogue?
Well, I was diagnosed with CPTSD in 2015.
Does C
Um,
stand for chronic?
complex.
Oh, complex.
It's like
Okay.
with PTSD is like the same event, the same trauma that happens over a long period of time. With complex PTSD, it's different traumas over a long period of time that compile.
Okay.
So that's how they described it to me, like the difference. Because I was going through one thing after another after like there was no breaks. And it
So,
just
what made you decide to go get help?
um well first I had to get sober. I went through the same of drinking every day, going out partying. That's how I dealt with everything. Like I didn't deal with everything. I just put it in that box. Like
Yep.
went out, got drunk, partied with my friends, getting in fights. Not like everything. It was guaranteed. If I went out and got drunk, I was fighting somebody that night for whatever reason. But I wouldn't remember the fights. And up until the last year, my boyfriend at the time, because we would argue about it, he was like, every time we go anywhere, you get drunk, you get belligerent, and you just fight with everybody, like physically. So, and I'm like, that never happens because I don't remember it. So he started recording when it would happen. Oh, you still there? I think we lost Eddie. But did I mute?
I'm mute. Sorry.
Okay. So anyway, he would record when these events would happen because I wouldn't remember them, whether I was drunk or sober. And it was scary to watch the change that would happen. Like I
Yep.
would be fine. One minute I'd be talking to somebody, and then the next minute I just snap, and I'm in
Oh,
a physical altercation with them,
I know how that is.
and I wouldn't remember it. Like to me, like I remember my 30th birthday party. The bar was packed, and I was talking to one of my friends, and I remember talking to her, and then I remember being at the bar ordering a drink. I don't remember walking to the bar. I noticed the music was no longer playing, and there was a bunch of commotion. And I looked over, and she was on the floor. Apparently, I had grabbed her and slammed her off the jukebox and then threw her on the floor and then went over and got a drink for no reason. I don't know if it was because of something she had said that triggered it, but I'm like, okay, something's going on here. I need to figure out what. So the first step was, okay, I got to stop drinking, but I was like 16 probably when I started drinking all the time. So I knew I couldn't just cold turkey it. I had to gradually stop drinking. So that year it was, I said, by January 1st, I'm no longer going to drink again. So I quit drinking, but it kept happening. Like these intermittent explosive, just get real angry for no reason and just explode on somebody
So you
and
were
not
having,
remember it.
so you were having mood swings.
Oh, these were violent. Like I'd be fine one minute and the next minute triggered and somebody's getting hurt. Either their feelings or physically they're getting hurt. So
So with me, it was a similar situation, but it was towards my loved ones. Okay, it wasn't towards friends. It was at home, and it was bad. And like I used to get angry and punch my walls and doors, and and it was something I wanted to stop, but I had no control because I didn't
right,
know what was wrong with me. I just knew I
exactly.
had so much hate and anger, and like I didn't know how to process it, know how to handle it, know how to figure out outlets until I went into the hospital and got help, and I see a therapist every 2 weeks, and all that stuff. But like when Pandora's box opened, it just made it worse. Like I didn't care if I lived or died. I didn't care about nothing. I didn't care about life.
Hmm.
I just wanted to fade away. And then, you know, looking at my mom, I'm a mama's boy. You know, growing up, just having your mom in your whole life and not having a father growing up was very tough. So, and all I
Yeah.
have is my mother. And she lives with me right now. She's getting ready to be 76. Her birthday's coming up soon. So, you
Yeah,
know,
me and my mom to this day, we can't be in the same place for too long, like an hour tops,
I'm sorry to hear that.
or we're going at it. Because
Well,
she's one of those, just get over it. You're fine, just get over it. There's nothing wrong with you.
I
You're
can't,
just
I can't say I hate people that are like that. I can't stand people that are like that. The reason is because they don't understand it. They don't go through it.
right.
They every person's brain operates differently. So I can say that every human brain operates differently. No one's perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect human. There's no such thing as a normal human. If we were all normal, we'd do the same thing every day, all day, same time schedule. We we would we would go to wake up at the same time, go to bed at the same time, eat at the same time, everything. We'd be normal. And
Hmm.
when I heard the word normal, I asked somebody, what is normal? They couldn't answer it. I said, because nobody's normal.
Because
We're all
nobody's normal.
different,
Hmm.
you know. And I just want to give a shout out to people in chat for joining.
Okay.
Glory Dancer, Christina, and I'm sorry I read what you said in your comments and sorry what you went through. Lisa Hamilton, hello, Miss Arnold, Violet Days, Savvy's aunt, Megan L. How's everybody doing? We got Rody Gal. Pretty sure we got other people in the background just lurking, which is fine.
Is Vanessa still in here? Because I do want to say something to Vanessa.
Carolina Moon.
I know she was in here.
We will do that later on, okay, Rogue?
No, this was just like, it was going to be an apology because I was going to explain part of the PTSD is certain triggers.
Yeah,
The trigger, some things, and then you trigger the anger, and then you can't control it. You just explode for stupid reasons. So I just want to say I'm sorry to Vanessa for what happened last night. I just, one of my triggers is if I perceive something as being unfair, I lose my shit. And I can't control that. It just happens. So that's what happened last night.
I'm pretty sure she forgives you. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. See, she's like, I'm not mad at you.
Yeah, I'm
See,
trying to get better at controlling that.
R-
It's
R-
just
Rogue, what you got to understand is the majority of these people are forgiving. Okay,
mhm.
if people weren't forgiving, they would have just left and not talked to you anymore, and was like, I'm done with you. I don't want nothing to do with you, and moved on. Most of the
Right.
people in this community are forgiving. Not all, but most. I
Most,
don't
yeah.
speak for everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
Last time I did that, I got in trouble. So, you know, this, I look forward to the live and then I get nervous, because, you know, it's something I'm not used to doing is talking about problems that you deal with.
Mhm.
And I'll eventually get used to it and it'll become normal. I'm going to create different episodes. I'm learning how to use StreamYard. So, Let's Talk episodes is where I bring people up and we just talk. And then other episodes where I talk about specific things, like break down what PTSD is, break down what bipolar is, break down what paranoia and schizophrenia is, and all these different mental illnesses, because there's a lot of people out there that don't know all these things. Oh, Miss Arnold said, "Not gonna lie, I like the communication via
Via
memes."
memes. Yeah, we were memeing each other.
I have to say that was hilarious.
It's
Okay,
safe. It's safer that way.
I like the laugh.
Nobody's yelling. Nobody. It's just like I have one friend that will do music. Um, because he knows that if I'm in a certain headspace, he can't talk to me, or I'm just gonna shut him down. And so he'll send me a song, and then I'll find a song to tell me what he's feeling and about something, and then I'll find a song to respond back to that song, and it'll go on for hours. And that's how we communicate, through music. When I get in those spaces to where I just can't talk to anybody.
You know what I noticed doing what I do? I'm a people person. I'm also a hugger, and I've never been a hugger. Okay, and I just started hugging people. Okay, and whenever I meet somebody, I shake their hand and then I pull them in for a hug. All right. The reason is because giving somebody a hug, you get that heart to heart.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that. Is when you give that heart to heart, they can feel it. They can feel the energy. And some people need to feel that energy.
And see, I'm a flincher. I physical contact, I get, unless
That's
I've
under
known you for a long time, it makes me very uncomfortable,
that.
because the PTSD comes from being in abusive relationships.
So with me, I grew up in a very rough life, abusive life, bullied. I used to get
Hmm.
bullied all the time. You would think me being 6'6", over 300 pounds, oh, you weren't bullied. No way. You're a big dude. Yeah, yeah, I am, but I wasn't always a big dude. I was thin as a rail, and then I hit a growth spur. I had a really not so manly voice as a kid before I hit a growth spur and hit puberty. I wasn't a tough kid. I didn't know how to defend myself. I learned how to defend myself over the years. Now I'm just, can't say unstoppable force, because, not everybody is the bad man on the planet. Somebody
Right.
has their weaknesses. But neither here nor there. I for a long time, I've been jumped a lot. Let's just say that. And for a long time, I had anxiety issues being around crowds of people. When I used to work with artists and I'd be at the club while they're doing a show, I'd be in the very back corner. I wouldn't be in the crowd like usual. I'd be in the back corner or at the bar getting drunk, watching people watching. That and then I would embarrass myself 9 times out of 10. That was my problem with drinking. I'd embarrass myself so people would laugh, not
Yeah.
realizing I was literally embarrassing myself. You know,
Sorry,
so
my brain's trying to go back, and I'm trying to keep it present. That disassociation, man.
it
um,
happens. It happens to the best of us.
yeah,
Do you see somebody and speak to them?
yeah. I have a psychiatrist.
Do you go to therapy?
Yeah, every week.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
At least you're getting the help.
yeah. I had to because it was just getting out of control. Like,
Was there
I
a
think
period?
the worst thing my parents probably could have done. Like, I was very rebellious when I was a kid because, well, I'm biracial for one. My dad's Korean, my mom's white, and I would get bullied because of my eyes. People, I would get the Asian stereotype bullies, but I'm half white. So I would get in fights even as a kid. And my dad's brilliant idea was, okay, well, we're going to put her in martial arts and that'll give her discipline. No, you just made a monster, is what you did.
Um, with me, um, nobody made me a monster. I turned into a monster. Um,
Well, I was already a little monster. They just made me more of a.
I was 17 and I went to jail. And while I was in there, I got another charge looking at 15 years in prison for something I didn't do. Like I was
Mm,
completely innocent, 100% innocent. My reputation was destroyed. I had to rebuild it from the ground up. So when I got out, hello Pepper, how you doing? When I got out, I I had a lot of anger. I had a lot of anger. I hated everybody equally, like really
mm,
anger. And like I was no longer going to be bullied. I was not going to be talked down to. I wasn't going to be disrespected. And I wasn't going to be punked anymore. That's when I realized, okay, because I used to get bullied, I used to get punked, I used to get disrespected. Now I just wanted to fight everybody instead of talking.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, I got it. I don't have it no more because I like to communicate now, but I used to have a really bad temper. My temper was on a whole nother level. Um, but I have that under control.
Mine is more verbal now. Like, how to explain it? It went from being constantly physical to where I just want to punch you in the face, so I'm going to punch you in the face, to now it's just verbal, where trigger and then I just go off.
Well, it happens to the best of us, okay? Even people who don't suffer with serious depression or, you know, with anything, we all have short fuses. It's just certain things that trigger that short fuse, you know. And then some of us have what we call a long fuse. It takes a lot for us to get angry, you know,
Mm,
or you say something like people used to make fun of my mom growing up, and I'm a mama's boy. Okay, and I used to get very physical with people that talked about my mom. And then one day my mom said, "Is it true what they're saying?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Then why do you get upset about it? Why do you let it affect you?"
You can't help it.
I agree. Mental health is a very touchy subject among a lot of people, and that's the reason why I like to talk about it. You know, they're going to come in, they're going to hear, and it can be triggering among people because, you know, they might have a problem and they're afraid to reach out for help because they're going to get looked down upon as they're crazy or mentally unstable, when that's not true. There's a stigma among
Hmm.
people who struggle with mental illness, and I don't agree with it. I'm not really sure how long my fuse is. I guess I'll say medium. But a lot of people are afraid to admit they have an issue and say, "Hey, I need help. Here's my hand reaching out." They're afraid to ask for help. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with asking for help.
Yeah, and it can be really hard, even when you find the help. You still got to be able to open up and trust that therapist, that psychiatrist, whatever. Like, that's one thing. Me and my therapist, I've had her for this same therapist for 5 years, 5, 6 years, and we've never talked about the main thing that happened, because I every time I try to talk about it, I can't talk about it because I'm like, I can't go back there. So I try to block it. And she's like, you gotta talk about that, what happened there. So it can be, even when you find the help, it can be really difficult to be like, okay, I know where this started. I don't know how to vocalize and put it into words what it did to me, or even talk about the event. I
So,
could talk about everything after that, like everything bad that happened after that, I don't have a problem with. But that one defining thing, I've never spoken about. Not to my mom, not to anybody. My therapist, she keeps trying. When she tries, I just break down crying and I say I can't talk about it.
all right, so I'll share a story with you, right? So I used to hate bikers and I used to hate motorcycles because that's who it was, that type of person who took my dignity from me. Okay, all right, and it wasn't up until recently, well, in the past 5 years, that I started hanging out with bikers. Because a therapist told me one day, she's like, "Why do you hate on a whole group and it was just one person who did it? Why?" And it made me really think. Like, I love motorcycles, but I hated them, if that made any sense.
Hmm.
One day I just got the guts up and I bought a motorcycle. It didn't run, I got it running. And for the whole season, I rode it every single day, rain or shine, every day. And it was probably the best year of my life, honestly. Getting up on that motorcycle and riding it. And a good portion of my past is now in my past. Okay, because I overcame a barrier, which was very tough. I overcame a very tough barrier in my life. And then I went down to Florida and I met my dad for the first time in 36 years. which was another tough barrier to grow up without a father and then meet your father when you turn 40 was very tough for me also. Do I wish we had a better relationship? Yes, but I can't control that. You know, do I think a lot of things would have been differently if I would have had um, yes, Miss Arnold, riding can be therapeutic. You, two wheels in the road, in the
Mhm.
open air, phenomenal. But back to what I was saying, I don't think I can't predict the past. I can't predict the future. I can't change the past. I can't change the president. The president.
I wish we could change the. I wish we could change the president. I'm just gonna
I
say
can't
it.
change the present. Okay. All right. So you got to live for today. You can't live for tomorrow, and you can't live for yesterday. And that was my struggle and my problem is I would live in the past instead of living for today. I would live for yesterday, and I would dwell on the past. And still, sometimes here and there, you would catch me living in the past. You know, and there are still some points of my day that I live in the past, wishing I could go back in time and change things, but you can't.
Right.
And you know, there's a lot of other things I want to talk about, but I can't talk about on this platform. So I have to keep be careful on what I say. So, and I'm learning because I'm a very blunt person. You can ask Miss Arnold that. I'm
Oh,
a
I
very
am
blunt
too, and that's
person. So
that
I
can be.
have to,
I am too.
okay? So, you don't want to say anything inappropriate. And how you doing, Sweet and Sleuthy and Carolina Moon? Thank you for joining. Um, but PTSD is a bastard. I will tell you that.
Yeah, it
And
is.
you probably agree. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just like everything else. Just like everything else. PTSD is a bastard, and I hate it with a passion. I wish I could just go into my brain and reorganize it. That's the reason why my image is a brain. I wish I could just go in there and just reorganize everything and eliminate negative memories and replace it with positive memories, and I'd probably be a different person. But the thing is I am who I am for a reason. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
I got to accept that. Is it hard to accept who you are and what you're going through? Yes, but we got to accept it. We can't change it. We got to live with it and move forward. And in some incidences, it's tough to move forward. Hearing that, oh, you got to move forward,
Oh yeah,
it's
that and just let it go. Just let it go.
it's let it go. You will never let anything go. You
No.
got to accept it. You got to accept what has happened. You got to forgive yourself. Brittany,
Hey, Brittany.
my sister has finally arrived. But um, back to what was I saying again?
Uh, Asthma's disassociation here.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
okay, all
accepting
right,
it. Accepting it.
yes, okay. You can't change what has happened. Okay, you can't you can't go back in time, and I've realized that. Do I fantasize about it? Who doesn't? Who doesn't fantasize about going back in time and changing things that they regret they did? Every single one of us does.
Hmm.
Every single one of us does.
I think the guilt is a big part of major hard part of dealing with PTSD is because you're dealing with guilt too, because you're blaming yourself for things that happened to you that you had no control over.
I agree.
So it's
Okay, Violet Day said, you said if you could change things, then you would be a different person. And I said, no, because they are you, because they are
I think
you
she
with
meant then,
you. Okay,
because
because
then
then,
you,
yes. Okay, I get what you're saying, Violet. Because if I was able to change who I was in the past, then I wouldn't be who I am now. I had to switch out my purple hearts for the more, put a smile on my face. More manly ones. Uh, no,
oh,
but
Pepper said something earlier that I agree with. Men can be more stigmatized when seeking help. Some men feel that it's weak to ask for help when the opposite is true. It takes a strong person to seek help. I agree with that. I think a lot of men have a really hard time with asking for help.
I agree because when I first admitted I had issues, people looked at me differently. Now they know that, help is what I need because it's changed how I am as a person, how I see things, how I react. I'm more peaceful, I'm calm, cool, and collective. Do I have my moments? Yes. You know,
Hmm.
I might not be calm and cool, but I got my thoughts collected. But I try to go by the three C's: calm, cool, and collective. That's my motto, and that's how I try to live: calm, cool, and collective. Okay? Because all three run in sequence. If you're calm, you're cool, and you're collective. Collective means you have your thoughts collected. Okay? If your thoughts are together, then you're calm and cool. So that's my motto: three C's. And that's what I try to live by every day. Be calm within yourself, be cool mentally, and have your thoughts collected.
I
If you
try
live
to
by
be
the,
that, but
yeah, I agree, Carolina Moon. Our issues make us stronger. Sometimes that's if you accept the handout when somebody's offering to help you. Some
yeah,
people are
otherwise
just,
they can destroy you too.
yes. I've lost two friends that wouldn't ask for help, and they're no longer with me. They're with me in my heart, but they're not with me physically.
Hmm.
I need that motto. Mine is
Yes.
currently F around and find out.
Yeah, that's been my motto for a long time too. But
No, there is a point where you F around and find out. Yes, I have those moments, but that's very few and far in between. If it gets to that point, I feel bad for you. But, like I was saying, calm, cool, and collective. Okay, before I started going to therapy, I didn't have that motto. I had the whole F around and find out. I
mhm.
didn't care about life. I didn't care if I, caught any other charges. I'm like my life was already destroyed. Whatever. Okay, what else can they take from me? They can't take my dignity. That's one thing they can't take from me. It was already taken. Okay, like I had nothing else to lose. That's how I lived every day of my life. I got nothing to lose. Okay, the only thing you're not gonna take from me is I don't know. I don't know. Now it's my life. My family. You know, it's taken me years to rebuild relationships with my family. My whole outlook on life has changed. My whole outlook.
Yeah. And see, with my dad, he didn't. He spent almost 10 years would not speak to me. And then when he finally started to come around and we started talking again, 6 months later, he had a heart attack and passed away. So that was another event that I had done. Like, I just got my dad back and now he's gone.
Did you guys mend
And
that bridge?
we did. It's almost like he knew it was coming because he just showed up at my house out of the blue, didn't call nothing. Just one day he's at my door and said, "Can we talk?" And so I had him come in and being my dad, he's checking around the house and he starts fixing stuff while he's talking and you got to do that. He started being dad again, like right away. And I'm like, whoa, you haven't spoken to me for 10 years. What's going on? You know?
And now you know.
And now I know.
But at least he fixed what he screwed up.
Hmm.
You know, that's usually what happens. You
So,
know,
but he was so mad because I had gotten accepted. Somehow I managed through all this shit to do very well academically. And my dad's dream was I was going to go to Harvard Law and I was going to become this great lawyer and, you know, it's one of the typical Asian professions. And I didn't want that. But I applied for Harvard just to stop. I'm like, I'm not going to get accepted to Harvard. There's no way. I got accepted to Harvard. And then I decided not to go. And that was it for him. He would not speak to me after that for a good 10 years. He said, "You're not my child." Disowned me right then and there.
and then 10 years later, he regretted saying it.
And 10 years later, I'd go to family events, he wouldn't even look at me. Holidays, he wouldn't even look at me.
And then 10 years later, he shows up at your doorstep
Yep.
and asks for your forgiveness.
And on top of that, because I have a
That's
lot of
amazing.
siblings, and I have a lot of siblings, so they were actually, some of them were mad that we had repaired our relationship for whatever reason. Because, and after he passed, they told me when they were all fighting over the estate, his estate, "You're not entitled to anything." I'm like, I don't want anything. You guys can have it all. I don't care. But dad wanted this done a certain way. So they got mad at me because I pushed for, because he didn't want to wake. That's not what Koreans do. I'm like, he wants it traditional, and that's what we're going to do. So they got mad at me and they're like, well, you don't even deserve to have a say. He didn't even consider you his daughter. You never came around. Like, you guys can't hold against me what he got mad at me for 10 years ago, you know? Oh, it was such a mess, and that brought out a lot of crap too.
Well, at least you got to patch things up with your father.
Yeah.
Siblings, you won't always see eye to eye with siblings.
Some of them we still aren't talking. I'm like, you guys keep everything. I don't want nothing. I went to the lawyer. I signed away my rights to everything. I'm like, you guys can fight it out. I don't care.
You got what you wanted in the end, a relationship
Yeah,
with your father.
I got my dad back. That's all I care about. Even if
That's,
it was for only 6 months, you know, at least I got my dad back.
see, some people don't even get that opportunity,
Hmm.
you know, and I always tell people cherish the time you have with your family.
Yeah, because it's just like that. I mean, I literally saw him that day, and because he came by, he just bought a new truck. and he stopped by to show me his new truck, and then he was going out of town to visit one of my sisters. And when he got there is when he had the heart attack.
Oh, that's
I
tough.
I do have the truck. I did get the truck,
You take care of
but
it, don't you?
oh, I do. Oh, I do.
you,
And my
you
mom's like, you
probably.
should sell that truck, and you should get. You're too small for that truck because I'm only 4'10", 120 pounds soaking wet. She's like, you should get a car, and I'm like, I'm not selling that truck. That truck will never be sold. I
She's
don't
out there
care if it
waxing that
breaks.
baby every day.
Oh yeah, I cover it every night. If anybody even gets near that truck, I'm screaming out and get away from the truck. It's my dad's truck.
That's awesome.
And people be like, "Why do you have all this fishing stickers all over the window of your truck in the back?" I'm like, "My dad put them there. I'm not taking them off."
And you probably got similar ones just in case one of them fades. You can take it off and replace it with a fresh one.
Well, no, I don't know where he got them, so
Oh, damn.
I just know he put them on like the day he bought the truck. But none of them wanted the truck because it came with the payment. And I'm like, I'll take
Oh,
it. I'll
you're like,
take
I'll take the payment.
I'll take the payment. I'll eat it. I don't care. I got that. Because he was so proud that he was able to buy that truck.
What type of truck is it, if you don't mind me
It's
asking?
a Chevy Colorado 4x4.
Oh, so your dad was a Chevy fan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I hated Fords.
I have to say, as a smart man.
Yeah, but that thing is like in mint condition even now. Like,
See, I like these conversations because you can take something that's touchy and turn it into a positive conversation.
mm-hmm.
So I was I talk to my brother Jesse all the time, and we were having a conversation about me being an alcoholic at one point, and my other friend Sam was standing in the kitchen. We were talking, and he says, "I said, Jesse, how was I when I was an alcoholic compared to how I am now?" He's like, "You were a totally different person." He's like, "What do you like better?" That's what I asked. And he's like, "You might have been funny, but that's about it." He's like, "How you are now, you're level headed, you're more serious, you don't take life for granted, you live in the moment. Back then, you didn't care about anything." So I'm like, I guess I'm glad I don't drink anymore.
Yeah,
That's
it's
how people
probably a good thing I quit too, because it was shortly after that I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease and a heart condition. So, like, even if I wanted to drink now, doing so would probably kill me. So I don't even, not even a drop. So, and then that's where I have the problem living in the now, is that having that disease. Like, and I even had a guy that I was dating, and I'm like, well, I don't think we should get too serious because I've got this. I don't know how long I can't promise you a future if I don't know how much of a future I have. And he's like,
that's
you ever
why,
think about just living in the now, just living in the moment, like just live today and
yep,
not worry about 5 years from now? And
there's
I'm like,
nothing wrong with having a 5 year plan, but in order to accomplish that 5 year plan, you got to live in the present.
right.
You
That's
got
what
to
I have a hard
create
time doing.
you got to create small goals. All right. In order to get to that big goal, you got to create small goals, and you got to accomplish those small goals first in order to get to that big goal.
Because my brain,
Okay.
it's always thinking like, how do I explain this? Like, say, okay, here's a situation. My brain is now going to find 10 different possibilities that this situation could lead to and prepare for 10 different scenarios that are probably never going to happen, but
So,
it's always doing that. Like with
have you
when
ever tried meditation?
I tried, I can't I can't
Okay,
sustain
so have you tried listening to different types of music?
Yep.
Okay, like soothing music.
Zen music, I've tried guided meditation. I've tried it's just like my brain will not stop. It's just constantly going.
The reason why I was asking is because me, when my brain is in a negative place, I put on music.
I put on music, but it's usually heavy music, very angry
Yeah,
music.
you put on the angry, violent music. That
Yeah.
yes, you might. So my favorite song, because I relate to it so much, is "Freak on a Leash" by Korn.
Oh, I love corn.
A lot of people don't even understand what that song "Freak on a Leash" is about. Do you even know what that song's about?
I did at one point. I can't think of it.
It's
Trying to
about
remember
his
the lyrics.
it's about his dignity being taken from him as a child.
Yep.
That's what that song's about. When I
I,
first listened to that song, see, when I listen to music, I listen to the words. I want to know if the words are reaching out to me. Okay, and that song it did. See, I don't listen to a lot of today's hip hop because it doesn't reach out to me. I don't listen to a lot of today's music because it doesn't touch me. Like I'm from the South, okay? So I love a lot of Southern music. Like Garth Brooks, right?
mhm.
The old Garth Brooks. Friends in Low Places. I would be that type of guy to show up in boots to a black tie affair. Okay, I can relate to that. Okay, I would be that. And then you listen to Ryan Upchurch and you listen to Holler Boys. I used to live in the Holler in Tennessee, so I related to that. You know, when I listened to, like NWA, when I lived in the projects, I listened to NWA and Tupac and Biggie because I related to all that. All right, hold on.
So the
So
corn
what?
song that probably fits me the best is "Shoots and Ladders." Sadly enough,
Shoots and
"Shoots and
ladders.
Ladders." I remember
Okay.
I saw them live and I was front row, and he played that song, and I just went nuts. I was up on the barrier, pushing away security, high fiving them. It's amazing that they still tour all these years later.
But I I I grew up. I'm 42 years old, right? So I grew up when music was good.
Yeah, I'm 37.
Okay, I I grew up in the era when music, hip hop was good, rock was good. Country was good. When country singers were real country singers, when rock bands were real rock bands, when rappers were real rappers, when R&B singers were real R&B singers.
Mm.
Okay, unlike today's music.
The
Okay,
mumble rap about drugs and all that crap. Yeah.
yes, that's on a whole nother subject. I'm eventually going to create a Patreon because of certain other subjects I want to talk about that involves mental health. Okay, that I can't talk about on this platform.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that run through my mind, and I have to control what I say, when I say it, how I say it. You know, outside in the streets, I don't care about. I speak my mind. I don't care who I offend. You know, I
Hmm.
don't try to offend anybody. You know, but I speak my mind. I speak how I feel. But when you're on social media, because I have been timed out, I've been put in Facebook jail, I have been, you know, yeah, I don't like those things. Okay, I don't like. Oh, Sublime's a good band too. Boys to Ken. Do you
And
mean
a all
boys
for
to
one.
men? You mean boys
Boys.
to men? Boys to
Boys to
Ken.
Ken.
Like Ken and Barbie. Okay, that's a good one. Boys to Ken. I've
Boys
never
to
heard of
Ken.
that. Yeah, like Ken and Barbie. Yeah, what's crazy is talking about boys to men when I was a kid. This is how I got a lot of my girlfriends when I was a teenager. Is before my vocals hit puberty, and I went from to a deep voice like I have now. I used to
Mhm.
be able to sing every song by Boys to Men.
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
every song. You know that song, "My Heart Will Go On" by
Yeah.
Celine Dion.
Yes. From Titanic.
Yes, I actually sang that song at a talent show and killed it.
Them is are hard. Some hard notes to hit.
Yeah, now you ask me to sing that? Yep, that ain't gonna happen.
I have a bunch of songs that I covered that I got to get up on my channel, but I'm like, eventually I'll upload them.
What band are we talking about?
Who, me?
Yeah, somebody said that they're a new
Oh,
woke
New
band.
Woke Band.
LOL.
I didn't see who. Oh, the Boys to Ken is a New Woke Band.
Oh, Boys to Ken
Boys
is
to
a new.
Ken is a New
What
Woke.
the hell? What?
Baby
Boys to
got
Ken?
back. Oh, I'm
What?
gonna have that song stuck in my head all day now. Thanks, Rody Gal.
Oh my word, Boys to Ken.
Boys to Ken.
Just imagine Joey Diaz singing "My Heart Will Go On." Hey, if this channel ever got so big, I would get Joey Diaz to come on here and I'd pay him to sing "My Heart Will Go On." That
That
would
would
be
be great.
hilarious.
Yeah, it would.
That would be hilarious. I would team up with him. We would have to start a little group.
And name it Boys to Ken.
No, but that was good humor. Humor, you always need humor,
Yes.
especially when you struggle with depression and stuff like that. Humor, but you need positive humor. There's nothing wrong with joking, okay?
Right.
There's nothing wrong with laughter.
Sometimes I have a very dark sense of humor, and people look at me like, "What in the hell did you just say?"
There's probably people in this community that are afraid of clowns.
And my picture looks like a clown.
Okay, there's probably people in this community that are afraid of clowns. That's what I'm going to be for Halloween.
That was actually my costume I didn't have the wig on yet I was it one year. Was it 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago. I was it for Halloween.
Julie's like, I'm always laughing. My husband said I even laugh in my sleep. That makes me so happy.
Oh
Oh,
God. I walk in my sleep. I just sit
yeah.
in my sleep and don't even. One time I apparently put my boyfriend's phone in the microwave. He was following me around. So he managed to keep me from turning on the microwave, but I put his cell phone in the microwave, his car keys in the freezer. He's like, you were just hiding shit in random places. And I'm like, no, I didn't. He's like, I'm going to film you tonight when you do it. He's like, because whenever you're stressed, you sleepwalk and you just start hiding stuff.
Have a good day, Pepper. So, humor is always the root to the soul. Okay? So, if you're having a rough time, go to comedy.
Go watch some Matt Rife. Have you seen Matt Rife?
Or go watch some, May He Rest in Peace. What was his name? He was hilarious. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Oh,
I'll figure out his name. I'll figure
Mitch
out his.
Hedberg?
No, no.
No.
He was like a David Chappelle, but he was a heavy set white dude.
Oh, Chris.
No,
No.
no. Chris
There were
wasn't
so
his
many
name.
comedians that passed away.
Yeah, Charlie Murphy was funny. He always cracked jokes about food. He would implement food into his jokes. And his wife was Asian. And he would talk about his
Oh,
wife.
Ralphie May.
Yes, Ralphie May. Okay, sorry. Ralphie May, God rest his soul, was one of my favorite comedians. Okay, he was hilarious. He died too young, to be honest.
Yeah.
But people just don't take their health serious, and I wish people would. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's sad. If Big Pun was still alive, if Biggie was still alive, if Pac was still alive, would hip hop be where it's at right now? I doubt it.
I doubt it. Even though
Who's
I'm gonna
running on the
say
treadmill?
Rody Gal,
Oh man.
she's playing some Boys to Ken and running on a treadmill.
I hope not. And messaging at the same time.
Yeah, message. Damn. I wish I
Man's a
could
talented woman.
multitask.
Run, Forrest. Uh, you know, so comedy is one of my favorite things. Humor, making people laugh.
Yeah.
So I used to do voices to make people laugh. I used to. She's like, I am TV seeing dying at Planet. So I used to watch shows, and if I could mimic their voice, I would mimic their voice just to get people to laugh. Like I used to do, Fat Albert. I used to do Yogi Bear. I can still do them. Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. I do Marlon Brando from The Godfather. I Yes, I do a lot of voices, and I always wanted to get into voice acting. or acting in general. But it wasn't my calling. I do get notifications about roles, but I don't fit a lot of the criterias.
Yeah.
I'm waiting until they saying a really big, husky, white male in their 40s. I'm there.
See, my mom totally turned me off to ever wanting to be on a stage, on a screen, and everything. Because she put me in pageants, she put me in commercials when and I hated it, every second of it.
Yeah, I didn't have that luck. So,
Especially the McDonald's commercials because it's not real food that they're putting in your mouth.
yeah, I know. If you
Like
watch that one,
ice cream
yeah, and the ice
was
cream
mashed
machines are always
potatoes.
broken. The ice cream machines are always broken.
But for one of them, I had to eat an ice cream, and it was cold mashed potatoes. It was so gross
Hell no. Hell no.
because ice cream would melt under the lights because it's so freaking hot. So they replace the food. It's not what you're seeing in the commercials, not what those poor kids are eating.
And they're probably getting paid a good amount of money to eat that crap.
Well, my mom probably did. I didn't see any of it.
Does anybody else in here got a question?
Is it wrong that I'm only willing to run as many calories as I want to eat?
Oh my God, you're going to be running forever. It's a lot of running. I can't even run. My knees won't let me. I run for
Yeah, I
15
can't.
minutes. It's like everything in its power just to climb a flight of stairs. And that's only 8 steps.
Yeah, I
I
don't
feel
do.
like grandpa after if I run and then I got to go up a flight of steps. It's one step at a time.
That's why I gave my roommates the upstairs and I live downstairs. So I never have to go up there. If I do, oh my God, my heart starts pounding.
I have a question. Where can I find a reasonably priced allocation coach? Because my accent, wow, it needs to go. All right. Oh my God. I'm
Smoke
bow-legged.
the.
Running doesn't work for me well.
Okay, so Rudy Gal is high, running on a treadmill, listening to Boys to Ken,
Imagining her pace.
messaging, and trying to remember and figuring out how many calories she wants to eat later, all at the same time.
Man, that's some talent. No, seriously, chat. Anybody got a question? Ask away. Like, serious question. I'll try to answer it.
Anybody? Anybody?
There's 18 people watching. Anybody got a question about PTSD? It don't hurt to ask. Talk about multitasking. I know somebody out there has a question. Because I've talked as much as I can about PTSD and what I know from it, in this conversation, and what Rogue has talked about with her PTSD, or CPTSD.
CPTSD. Yeah. You may have said it
Post-traumatic
already.
stress disorder.
Okay, Rody Gal has a question. What are some coping techniques that you use?
Okay, so like I said, coping techniques, coloring, coloring. I do color. I have a coloring book. It's a Marvel coloring book, but I do color. It distracts my mind. I do color. Um, I also I like to write poetry. Um, One day I'll probably share some of my poetry on here, but I do like to write poetry. Um, Music, um, and I also like to watch. Believe it or not, um, being part of Britney's channel actually helps me cope. Can it be stressful sometimes? Yes, but it helps me cope. Believe it or not. Um, who diagnoses who diagnoses PTSD? Well, so when I went into the hospital to get help, I spent a week, and in that week, you have to talk every single day. You're talking
Mm-hmm.
to somebody, and they're taking notes, and they can tell if your story keeps changing. They can tell. You know, because they ask you, you know how when you go into an interrogation room and they interrogate you?
Yeah, it's like that.
Yes, but you're allowing them to interrogate you because you want help. So they ask you questions that are misleading on purpose to see if your brain registers the question to see if you're telling the same story, but they ask the question so many different ways
Mm-hmm.
throughout the week. And that's how they diagnose what you are. So let me go back here and see. Yes, I was diagnosed by a psychologist and a.
Oh, you're breaking up. Hello? Hello? I don't know what happened. Oh, it's a channel takeover. Can you guys still hear me? No, he fell off StreamYard. I don't even know if you guys can hear me yet. Okay. Yeah, because there's a lag with the chat and what I'm actually saying, so I wasn't sure.
All right, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Oh my word! It kicked me. My internet just cut right out.
Are you getting storms there?
It's cloudy, but still, my internet's strong as hell, and I'm in the same room as my router.
Hmm.
Is Eddie from the south? Yes, I am, but I don't live down south. I can't wait to go back south. Okay, art is healing, yes. I have tattoos. I love tattoos. That's also a way for me to, you know, get peace within my own mind.
I love getting
Music.
tattoos too.
Um, who else? What else? I'm looking. I'm going back because my internet started acting stupid. Anybody else got questions about PTSD? There's a lot of things you can do to cope. It's all on what you find comfortable and what helps you. Everything is different. Playing an instrument. If you're good at guitar, drums. No, I got plenty of tattoos. I love tattoos. Um, if I
See,
could afford to get my entire body covered in tattoos, they would be done already.
I
You
never
know,
felt pain when I got tattoos, except for like I have full wings on my back, and when it came to the sides, that's the only place I felt pain. But I've got them on my neck, my wrists, my back, my spine, my leg, my foot. Like that's the only really the only place I felt pain was on my sides.
one day I will cam up and show all my tattoos. And I have more to come. I
And the
got,
feathers on my back are have the names of all the friends that I've lost to unaliving themselves over the years.
yeah,
Feathers have their names in them.
I will tell you this. The only people I'll get tattooed on me are family members. And I won't get a person's name on me until they pass away.
Like you would have to really look to see their names because it blends in with the feathers, the way the artist did it. So you have to really be up close and looking to even see the names, but they're there.
So, my next live, I will be talking about bipolar. That will be the next episode. I'm going to talk about everything I've been diagnosed with. So, you know, everybody's going to learn about what I struggle with, but I also want to learn about what other people struggle with. You know,
Hmm.
because you never know. Could be going through something a lot worse, and hearing other stories might touch them and help them.
And here's the thing too that I hate when people say, "Why are you complaining? There's people that have it worse." Yeah, there's people that have it worse, but that doesn't invalidate what I go through. You know what I'm
Correct.
saying? And when
Every
people say that, it's so invalidating. Well, somebody always has it worse, but it doesn't mean that I don't have it this way.
see,
And I think that's why a lot of people don't talk about it too, is they get comments like that.
and the thing is that you can't. Okay, so I tell people what you went through in life and what I went through in life are two different things. We can't compare each other.
Hmm.
Okay, because we're two different people. What I went through was horrible. What you went through was horrible. But you can't, like Violet said, you can't dismiss. Okay, I told my son I will haunt him if he tattoos my name or whatever on him. It scared him. But he has tattoos, so he'll probably do it anyway. Uh, so everybody's life is different,
Right.
but we all live together. That's why I don't understand why we judge each other. Instead of living in the now, we always judge each other by the mistakes they've made. No one's perfect. Like I said earlier, nobody's perfect. People make mistakes.
Did you find that that got worse, like after the lockdowns happened with people?
Oh, it did. It did. Okay. All right. So, me, I can't say too much, but I will tell you when more people unalive themselves during it than
Oh
any
yeah.
other time in this, than any other
Oh yeah.
time. Okay. More people unalive themselves during the lockdown. And the reason is because they couldn't get the help they needed. I went to my governor's office, the Capitol, and I threw a hissy fit because I walked in, right, wearing my mask, everything else, social distanced, complaining. I'm like, I can't see my therapist. I'm not a camera person. I want to see my therapist. And I was losing it, okay?
Mhm.
I'm like, the hospitals are shut down, therapy's shut down, everything's shut down.
Yep.
Oh, but you take mental health serious. No, you don't. Because if you did, it would still be open.
See,
Some
my
people,
therapist did the telecalls, but she got so inundated with people that I couldn't even. I went from talking to her once a week to talking to her once every 4 months.
yeah, it's too much.
And like I have specialists. I have an oncologist, cardiologist, um, endocrinologist. All my doctors basically said, "We'll call in your prescriptions once a month. Whatever you do, don't get this virus, and we'll see you when we see you." I had to be my own doctor for a year.
I was bedridden for a year. The worst year of my life.
And on top of that, all my roommates moved out because they were all essential workers. So they were afraid they were going to get me sick and I would die from it. So they all moved out, which left me with a. I just bought this house. Like I had it 2 months before that happened. So I had all these bills and I'm like, I'm so screwed. I don't make enough. I can't go out and work. I can't leave my house. Thank God. And this is what makes me mad about when people complain about creators who get money. I had a lot of creators that got me through that year financially, mentally, emotionally. Like what they're like, whatever you need, you need this bill pay, we'll pay it. Here's the money, go pay it. So I was very lucky, but I did notice that people got more angry quicker with people, more judgy. Like that's when the whole cancel culture started, right?
Well, I went, that's a touchy
Uh oh,
subject on this platform. Very touchy subject.
you're breaking up again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now. But
Okay.
that's when all that started. That kind of behavior, I think.
Yeah, Daisy. I agree. I
Yeah.
did too. Yeah. Um, I slipped and fell and messed up my back really bad.
Mm.
Okay, and not only that, I had a non-cancerous tumor in my lower back, and it was causing me a lot of pain. I finally got it removed, but I couldn't stand for long periods of time because it would hurt. I couldn't even pick up a gallon of milk because it would hurt.
Jeez.
Um, they finally started opening things up, and I was able to go to physical therapy and sh- straighten out my spine a little bit because I compressed it. So doing water therapy helped straighten it out, and then getting rid of that tumor in my back.
Hmm.
Oh my God,
That
that
must
just.
have been a relief.
Oh yes, oh yes. So I went through a lot. It was rough, mentally and physically. You know, when you go from seeing your therapist every 2 weeks, and your caseworker once a week, and your psychiatrist every 3 weeks. I mean, every 3 months, to not seeing anybody.
Hmm.
That is tough. That is tough. I can understand slowly shutting the country down, but to do it all at once. So,
Yeah, that was really hard. Not being able to talk to anybody. No therapist, no psychiatrist, no nobody. Just radio silence. So I think if it hadn't been for a group of creators, I probably would have just spiraled completely down.
social media was where it was at during the shutdown.
Hmm.
But you didn't have enough mental health podcasts out there. There's not a lot.
No, one of my
There's like,
friends actually had one, but they labeled it accidental unaliving. He had a mental health channel where he talked about all this stuff during COVID, but he took a bunch of his medication with a bunch of alcohol, and that was
oh,
December of 2020. So he didn't make it. The shitty thing was I found out from a YouTube live stream.
oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
Queen of Hearts. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's hard. Yeah. I'm sorry.
One of these. One of these days on my live, I'll get you to come up, Queen of Hearts, and share your story if you want to. Because I'm pretty sure you've gone through a lot mentally and emotionally and physically too. Because that happening can take a lot out of someone, can drain you,
Hmm.
can drain your whole body. And you're still here. And you're willing to talk about it instead of, keeping it hush hush and to yourself. I know what it's like to lose loved ones, especially ones that are close to you. You know,
Yeah.
You know what's crazy is that when there's a serious issue out there. I had a friend of mine. They lost their child, and I was consoling them. And I was like, I know how you feel. And they're like, no, you don't. I'm like, yeah, I do. They're like, how do you know how we feel? Everybody keeps saying they know how we feel, and they don't. I'm like, I do. And this is how I know how you feel. And when I told them, they felt bad treating me. And the pandemic sucked hard. Jeez. Yeah, I sure will. Yes. Last week, the bad news. But what does? 54-year-old. Yeah, my mom went through the same thing. My mom went through the same thing in her 50s.
I was 28, and when I found out I would never have kids.
Chicken noodle girl, that's a good thing. Therapy is always good for those who need it and want it. I've known people that were forced to go to it that needed it and didn't want it.
Yeah, it's just not going to work if they don't want it. You have to want the help. We even had a family therapy session. Oh my God, was that a disaster?
See, I can't relate, but my mom can. Rogue Knox can. You know, you get some people, like older people, the older generation that were teenagers back in the 60s they don't understand mental health.
Hmm.
People in their mid to late 70s, a lot of them don't understand depression and bipolar and PTSD and stuff like that. They don't understand it. My mom doesn't understand it.
My mom thinks they're all just made up.
Yeah, that's correct, Daisy. I will tell you this. Nobody's alone in this world. We've all been through something and we can relate with each other because we've all been through something. No one's had a perfect life. If we all had a perfect life, none of us would be here talking about what we've been through and what affects us mentally and socially and everything else.
Right.
Any other questions? We got some people in here. Not a lot, but eventually it'll get bigger and I'll get millions of questions.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert, I will tell you that. I am not a therapist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I do not have a medical degree. I just know what I go through and what I've dealt with.
That's insane, Brooke. She said her friend had severe PTSD, and a flight attendant kept harping about the mask. She had been abused by a masked man, and it triggered her. She got kicked off the plane.
Yeah, I heard that. I read that. It sucks.
The whole like the masks don't even really work. So
No, they don't. We
Like I
just
have one of
inherited
my
we just inherited my dad's ashes and learned that we all just held that like a bottleneck for 3 years. Huh? Crafty Chris, I'm watching on my TV, so just lurking. Thanks to all for sharing your stories. All right, Chicken Noodle Girl, have a good evening.
I
My
wonder
doctor,
what it, oh sorry.
huh?
I was just gonna read Queen. I wonder what it did to little kids not seeing other people smile. I know my nieces and nephew were pretty messed up about it. Like there was an experiment, and I can't remember what it was called, but they took babies away from their mom. Like they weren't seen. Basically, the babies were just fed, not nurtured, not spent time with. They were fed, diapers changed, put back in there, and some of the babies died because they weren't seen. If that makes sense. So for kids, it's very important that they feel seen.
Oh, so you're saying when you got Queen of Hearts, you're saying when you buried your dad's ashes, everybody was just stuck in the same spot. Wow.
Yeah, so it was monkeys, baby monkeys. Sorry, I forgot to put in the monkey part.
Wow, Sassy.
Stay away from the windows. We had
I,
one down the street from my house, and then the guy shot across the street. He shot up a store. It was a hardware store, and then he walked across the street, went in the store with the gun visible, and they told him to put on a mask or get out. I'm like, really? They didn't realize that he had just shot up their store, even though he walked in there with the gun visible. And they're like, you got to put a mask on or you got to leave.
so, Sassy, did you talk to your better half about what we talked about? So, when I was 9, 10 years old, I lived through a drive-by shooting.
Oh, man.
We hunkered down underneath the couch. We flipped the couch over. Yeah, it was they. So I lived in a very rough neighborhood, and then I went to another rough neighborhood, and the people that shot up the house, they okay, Sassy. They shot up the wrong house. They were supposed to shoot up the house doors down.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I have an older sister and a younger brother. I'm the middle child. We all have different daddies. I come from a very diverse family. Very diverse.
I have a twin brother, and we're both the middle children.
So my uncles, so I have uncles that are biracial. I have a sister that's biracial. I don't know what I am. I'm a complete mutt. So If you look at me, I look like a Viking, but then when you dig into my DNA, I'm multiracial. So it's weird. It's very weird.
Did you hear? Have you ever used any of those DNA sites?
Yes, I did.
Did you hear
And
BlackRock just bought Ancestry.com?
oh, I didn't use Ancestry.
Well, that's good.
I'm going. My next one is 23andMe because they're more accurate. My DNA is already out there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
because you were, yeah.
and when you get locked up, they take your DNA. So my next live, um, let me know when your husband is free, Sassy, and we'll try to get him up here to talk. Because I really want to reach out to the veterans. I really do. Oh, I'm part Native American too, Queen of Hearts. I'm also Northeast and West African. I'm also Asian, East Asian. I'm also Caribbean. I'm a mutt. If I went down my I'm a mutt. I'm mainly Scandinavian, Viking,
Yeah, you look like a Viking. That was one thing I thought.
and then it goes downhill from there. When's the last time? Sassy, you want to come up?
Yeah, probably gonna hop off here because I have to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
I just pounded a 2 liter, well, not a 2 liter, but a liter of soda.
I wish I could drink soda. I can't.
Oh, it's so hot today, and it's the only thing I have here. So, but I'm gonna hop off.
All right, Rogue.
And thanks for having me on.
Yes. I'll see you later on tonight. So who else would like to come up and communicate? All right. I'll send you the link. Did you get the link, Sassy? It feels weird saying that, Sassy. It feels weird. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah, I'm 6'6". One thing that drives me crazy is I'll be in a grocery store. I'll be in a grocery store and I will somebody will ask me to grab something up high, and I don't have a problem with that. But like if I can't bend over and pick up something because my knees or my back, They'll be like, "Can you?" I'll ask them, "Can you reach this down there for me?" What are you making fun of my height? I'm like, no, but you just asked me to reach up there for you. You making fun of my height? Oh my word, Rogue. You were doing the dance. Uh, yes, a very tall person gets a lot of attention. Do you want to keep your camera on, Sassy? Okay. Just to let you know, you're muted.
Okay. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. Awesome. I got to figure out how to say chat now. Okay, I see now. And now I know why nobody can do it. Okay.
We can hear you.
All right.
What would you like to talk
So,
about, Sassy?
well, me and you touched a little bit on what I went through with my husband. He's a veteran from the United States Marine Corps. Um, we've been together for 38 long years. But see, I typed in chat earlier that uh, I was lucky. I had the best parents in the world. It was just me and my sister, and growing up small town Tennessee, everything. It was like, I don't know, and I was the baby too. I'm the baby. But when I lost my dad in 2010, it was like fast. And I absolutely lost my mind. I went into a depression and I didn't leave my house for literally 6 months. I didn't leave the house. Even my mom, who they were married for 50 years, would come over and be like, Becky, you're going to have to snap out of this. Well, I went to a doctor, and of course, they had me on so many pills, you know, for, I don't know, a couple months. I don't even remember, which is sad. And then my husband uh, went through where the only way I can say is like everybody around me saw it except for me. They would be like, Becky, do you think maybe he might be bipolar? And I'm like, no, not my strong man, not my man that's always protected me and my kids. He's not bipolar. He's just, yeah, he is who he is. But he got COVID in 2021, September. Uh, I had to call 911 to come and get him. His temperature was 104.8. That night, got him to the hospital, which was an hour away. And I went and had, full intention. I had went to go. I had packed a bag and I was going to stay with him. But of course, right then they shut all the visitation down because COVID was rampant. I didn't know it, but I had COVID too. My daughter had COVID. My son had COVID. So anyway, he's in the hospital and he would call me in the middle of the night screaming, just, I don't want to die, but just go on. If something happens to me, just go on and cremate me and you go live with your sister. Just sell the house, just let everything go and just bury me up next to your mom and dad. Well, that would kill me. Um, So I would have to get on to uh, and call the hospital and be like, "Can you please give him some Ativan, something, do something." And then his sister works in administrative department at the hospital. She lives in Florida, so she helped me a lot when I was able to get his, what is it called, like the HIPAA number, his case number or whatever, and I let her do the talking for me because they left his door open and he watched while he was sitting there on oxygen. It had turned into COVID pneumonia. And all we could do was FaceTime. And he was mostly too weak to even do that. But he watched four people in a span of a week right across from him die. And then he said he saw all the doctors come in and all, they're covered from head to toe and would pick the body up and wrap it in a sheet and weigh it, wrap it in a sheet and then weigh it. And like, that done something to him big time. And he was off of work for a year, whole year. He didn't go back until September, the end of September of 2022. We lost everything we had, literally. That's back when, I don't know. I know y'all probably remember I was in the middle of moving and I couldn't be in Brit's chat. But, and then, but in the span of that year, after he got out of the hospital, he was on oxygen at home, in home health care. We had everything. Uh, it's hard to explain, but uh, I, I said, "You're going to have to go see a doctor because he was not coming out of the bedroom at all, even when he got off of the oxygen." Uh, and she told him, "Mark, you are so bipolar." That because, and I was like, why didn't I see this? I was all these years he'd been bipolar. On top of that, now he's got PTSD, and it's taken.
Because everything he
Yeah,
witnessed when he was in the hospital.
absolutely. That done something to him. It changed him, and the fact that I was like, here I am. All I can do is like worry about my family, worry about my husband, and do what I can, and uh trying to understand what he went through on top of everything else, and then me dealing. My mom died, and that was another blow. I lost my parents about 7 years apart, and I had a cousin who supposedly they said unalived herself. Uh, there's there's absolutely no way that she unalived herself. We we know exactly who did it, and the sad part is he's dead now. He OD'd, but she was uh, in the back of the head.
Wow.
Nobody unalives himself that way. Yeah, like I said,
Wow.
small town politics and small town police departments. That was just nah, we're too lazy. It's covered up.
Are
You
you on
know,
the east side of Tennessee or mid
I'm
central?
I'm I'm not. I'm at Western Tennessee, over near Clarksville,
Isn't
Montgomery
isn't that
County.
isn't that like going towards Memphis?
No, we're up. We're on the like. Uh, we're up near. Okay, where I'm at is near Fort Campbell, Kentucky, the military
Okay.
base. So like, I can go over. I'm like 20 minutes. I can just drive over into Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
All right, Miss Arnold.
Oh, I see Miss Arnold. She's so sweet. So
So
is Brooke.
your husband, is he getting the help he needs now?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yes. Uh, we found a doctor, and she's a nurse practitioner, but her specialty is psych, and I like the fact that like she lets me if he's not doing what if he's acting a certain way or whatever, all I gotta do is text her, and she's like she keeps it on the down low, but then she talks to him and makes him open up about it. We go once a month, uh, and he's definitely getting the help now that he needed because oh my god, uh, there for a while I thought he would try to unalive himself, and
It's
basically,
just good that he's getting the help he needs, because a lot of veterans go the other way out, and I've
yes, but
that's one
all
thing
those
I've
years,
yeah, he didn't know,
hmm
or he did know, but he didn't know. You know, because you can know something's wrong
right,
but
and
not
like I
know
said,
what's wrong.
everybody around me could see it. Right, exactly. Yeah, we didn't know uh what it was, but now he's like he still says to this day like, why didn't we not see it, or why didn't I go see a psych doctor before now? Uh, but it took almost dying. I'm like 5 foot 0 inches tall. He's 6'3". He's always been like this big tough Marine Corps guy. And it was hard for him to like buckle down and like say I need help. But he finally did, and I'm so thankful because it's like having the you know it's like having the man that I met back again all those years ago. Uh, but yeah, we're like family is everything.
It is. Family is everything. I was
Amen.
very
It
close to
is.
my grandmother, my dad's mom, and when she passed away, I took it. It was tough. It, it was
Oh, I
it
bet.
was it was very tough. If
What?
something were to happen to my mother, I don't know if I would be able to handle it. I know, like, my mind's telling me my mom's getting ready to be 76. She doesn't have much life left. She's getting up
Yeah.
there in age, you know. But
Right.
other part of me doesn't want to lose her because she's all I have. Like, that's my mother. You know what I'm saying?
Well, of course. So, were you and your mom close?
She lives
Uh.
with me.
Oh. Oh. Well, then I guess you are then.
Yeah.
um. Yeah. So I caught a little bit, most of your other live. As you know, yesterday was kind of hectic for all of us trying to keep up. But, uh, dude, you've been through a lot, and look at you now.
Well, I get that, but there are people out there that have been through the same or more, and I just wanted to share my story to hopefully reach out to other people to get them to share their story.
Right, because people need to stop sweeping it under the rug about mental health. There's nothing wrong with uh people taking care of themselves mentally. That it's like it's been like It's almost like the people look at mental health like, she's crazy. She needs to be in a mental hospital, or
You want to know
maybe
what's
not
wild?
even.
You want to know what's
What?
wild? I'll tell you this. I used to be the same way. I used to look at people and be like, yeah, they're crazy. They need help. They need to be in a
Yeah.
mental hospital. While at the same time, I'm crazy too.
Right.
And I needed to be in the hospital too to get help that I needed. So I'm over here making fun of people when I needed the same help.
Right. And I can't say that I haven't been guilty as well. I guess all of us have. Like, well, when you see somebody out who's acting a fool, we have, let's say, where I live now, we don't have a big homeless population, but we have a drug problem. And you see these people that's walking around, it's so sad. They're like zombies. And they stand out in the middle of the street, and, you know, I don't even, I don't know what to do.
Well, I'll tell you this, all right? They used to say they they used to say to me growing up, marijuana is a gateway drug,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's not.
Uh-huh.
It's
No, it's not.
alcohol.
Oh,
Alcohol
yeah,
is a gateway drug.
absolutely.
Okay? Because I have never met a stoner go and do other things, okay? But I have met an alcoholic that will go and do other drugs. They will try to do other drugs.
Oh, yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Queen of Hearts, I'm a street counselor,
Oh, wow.
okay? Like, I'm not a licensed therapist or a licensed counselor, but I counsel people in the streets, you know, and I don't tell them that they need help, but I try to give them advice, you know, because I want to see people survive. I want to see people, uh, you know, be more than they are. You know what I'm saying? Because we all have something to offer this world. We do. We just don't know it. Some of us don't know it. We're here for a reason.
Absolutely.
And you won't your life you will you will not die until you figure out that reason. Once you figure out that reason and accomplish it, that's when you know you have succeeded. But until then, you're going to be on this world until you figure out what your reason is. My reason is to help people. It's just getting enough guts to do it. That's why I'm here.
Right. Well, look, you
That,
took the first step.
so, yes, is it going to take time to reach out to more people? Yes. And I'm fine with it. I'll take time. I will reach out. And I will touch more people. And I'll get more people to talk about their story. Okay? So, my next live, Queen of Hearts, I would like you to come up as a guest too. I want to get your husband up, Sassy. I want to talk to him one day.
Okay.
I
I'm
really
working
do.
on it.
He's a
Ye-
veteran,
Yeah.
you know, and I want to get him as a guest because, you know, he can reach out to people more than I can. I can't reach out to military veterans.
You
I
know,
can't.
I really, here's a story that I'm gonna tell you that I couldn't believe it. It was so weird the way this happened, but uh, It was before my husband went back to work. We were still dealing with, the the oh gosh, anxiety, and like he would go, oh my God. He left our house and he was gonna drive, and just I was in the bed taking a nap, and he left and was gonna drive to Florida because he didn't know what to do. He was gonna go see his sister. And then he finally stopped and he was like, what am I doing? So he called his sister and she was like, go home and get your wife, you know? So he came home and I ended up taking him to the emergency room that night. And I was like, I mean, he was like really having a panic attack where he thought he was having a heart attack, and it was awful. And then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, in this little ER that we're in our small town that we were from, came this guy, and he reached out and he grabbed my husband's hand and he said, "Hey, uh, you're a military man, aren't you?" And they looked at each other, and Mark said, United States Marine Corps, and he said, "You're my brother." And he just reached out and grabbed his hand, and they hugged. And I broke down and cried like a baby. Uh, just him seeing another Marine Corps veteran who happened to be there to pick his girlfriend up from work. And he stood there for over 2 hours and talked to my husband. He didn't need any kind of medication or anything after that to calm him down. That's all it took was talking to somebody else. And I just let him talk. And that was amazing. Just how a person can reach out to another person and show some empathy and understand what another person's going through, and it makes all the difference in the world.
I was driving down the road and I had a panic attack. So I swerved over like 2 lanes and pulled off to the side of the road and stopped. And I'm just sitting there and I'm holding my chest and I'm deep breathing. I'm like, right? State trooper pulls up behind me. No sirens on, nothing, because I'm already pulled over, right? Gets out and he walks up and doesn't say a word. And I don't even know he's standing there. Okay? And the first thing out of his mouth is, you need a hug.
Oh, wow.
Officers that carry firearms and wear a badge usually do not give hugs.
Right.
And he gave me a hug. And with that hug, my panic attack went away. He knew that I was
That is,
having a panic attack.
yeah. Wow. Yeah, sometimes that's all it takes is for somebody to reach out
Yep.
and understand, because it's like you're not the only one. We're not the only ones. Everybody goes through ups and downs and trials and stuff in their life that it's so hard to get through, and you need somebody else. And I know for a lot of men in my life it was never easy for a man to ask for help, but now they do now. They know now.
Yep. So, next Thursday, well, not next Thursday, this Thursday at 5 p.m., I'll be going live again.
Okay.
So, um, I try to run my lives for about 2 hours because I need a break before I go on Brittany's.
Right.
um, so, and thank you for showing up, Trista Scott. Hopefully you can catch the replay where Rogue Knox was up here and the rest of what me and Sassy talked about, and Sassy sharing her story. And I'm glad your husband is with us still. And I'm glad you're still with us.
Of course.
Now you got more memories you can create with him.
Absolutely. We still don't have any grandbabies yet. We gotta have some grandkids.
So, I'm Eastern Standard Time. So, okay, Brit's going live at 8:35. Yes, so I'm going to get off in time. Okay. And that's members live. Yes, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I thought she said
You
something about
know,
remember.
allegedly with Brittany J, she's an amazing person.
She is. She's
And
the reason why I'm still on YouTube at all.
she is the reason why I decided to do the channel I'm doing. It just took time. We kept talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. It just took time to do it. So, but now I'm here and I'm doing it.
I'm glad. I am so glad.
So,
I'm also glad that I finally got to see a face to the name.
so, but I love the community and I am so glad people joined. You know, hopefully more people will join and we can reach out to more people. You know, I love this community. I love people. If I could just reach out and give everyone a hug, I would. Because we all need one
Yeah,
once in a while.
most definitely.
So, thank you for coming up, Sassy.
You're welcome. And I'll talk to my husband. It might take a little bit, but I think I'll get him. See if he can. Like I said, he doesn't even have a Facebook or Twitter or anything like that. So
He
if he's
don't he don't need one. His voice is what matters.
right, yeah,
His story is what matters. Okay.
yeah, and I'll definitely I'll work on getting him up here.
Okay. And
So
hopefully you guys in that are part of this little community of my channel can help hit that thumbs up button and share it with everybody else that around you that you think might need help. Share this channel, get people to join and just hear stories from other people that have gone through it. Everybody's gone through something.
right, I'll share it. I've got a lot of people. Get the word out.
So, all right, everybody. I love you
Thank you for
guys.
having me.
Yes. And thank you for coming up. And everybody, thank you for joining. And I'm going to have an exit. And this is how I do it. Thank you for joining All Things Serious.